Hello, I'm Rob Thomas with Club and Resort Business. Welcome to another episode of Club and Resort Talks. Today's episode is sponsored by DTG, the global leader in the design, development, and delivery of power systems and mobile workstations. The company is committed to designing custom food and beverage carts that combine innovation, ergonomics, and usability to meet the unique needs of all clubs, the workflow, and the environment. Learn more at dtg.com. That out of the way, let's get to Phil Keren, our senior editor. Phil, how's it going?
I'm doing well, Rob. How are you?
I'm doing really well, Phil. I just want to take the opportunity right now to say, as we are recording this, we do not have a guest to follow. But if that does come to fruition, we have a couple requests in. There'll be a little ticker going down below us telling us who's going to be following. So please take a look at that. With that, what do you have in the news this week?
Well, we've had a pretty interesting couple weeks, I'd say, since we last talked. What for one, I guess we've learned what a javelina is, right, Rob? I will confess, I had no idea. I was not somebody who had followed something like that in the past. Never heard of a javelina before, but I guess this particular animal, which I guess is like a medium-sized pig-like mammal native to southwestern U.S. and Central America. I guess a bunch of them have I guess made themselves at home at Seven Canyons Golf Club in Sedona, Arizona. Right, they've been out there, kind of unfortunately damaging the course quite a bit, and the course leaders have been trying to figure out how to handle it, how to get them off the course and everything. There was even a video from one of the employees posted, showed very extensive damage being done to the course, unfortunately. One thing that was interesting to notice about the story when I was looking at it earlier today is that I guess a lot of it had to do with lack of rain. They only had about 2 inches of rain in the summer there in Arizona, and I guess last year, in contrast, we were around, what was it? I think 18 inches of rain, and they didn't have the problem. Although, as I understand it, they've had the problem in the past somewhat, although not as bad as this year. The interesting thing was that they have there was their repellent, if you will, for it that seems to be working fairly well is chili oil, as I understand it. Is that right?
Yeah,
That's
chili
kind of
oil.
thing. How about that? I guess they don't. Guess they don't like that.
Yeah, I guess the superintendent tried a number of things.
Yeah.
The sad thing is, the course is torn all to hell. But
Mhm.
if superintendents don't have enough to worry about with drought, especially down in the Southwest,
Yeah.
drought-like conditions and trying to do the best with what they have, disease, all kinds of stuff, and now you got these little pig-like creatures tearing through, rooting, looking for food.
Hmm.
It's just terrible. I feel bad for Seven Canyons. I've been to Sedona, Arizona. It's a
Hmm.
gorgeous area. And I'm sure the golf course is beautiful. I know it's one of the top 20 in the state, or top 25 in the state, and that's a state full of beautiful golf courses. So best of luck. Hopefully the chili oil works, and hopefully that doesn't lead to different problems. Just like old people, you take one pill to sleep, and then you got to take another pill to get up, and then that's going to cause you to take another pill to do whatever. So hopefully this is the remedy. Get rid of those little pig-like creatures and
Yeah.
let them go elsewhere and tear up somebody's lawn. I don't want, hey, God forbid you're in somebody's backyard, but it's a
Right.
heck of a lot better than digging through a fairway or a green.
Right. Right. It did make me think too, just about how, indeed, when you referenced it for a second there about drought-like conditions out there. There are so many environmental challenges that golf courses can face, as far as, like, again, you have drought conditions, having enough water to care for your course while being kind of prudent in how you use it. And we've seen, like, examples of extreme weather conditions causing damage to golf courses too. And then, of course, with this example with the javelinas, we have, sometimes there are animals, wildlife native to the area that are going to get onto a golf course as well, and unfortunately cause problems out there with that. So lots of different challenges to face that have to do with, I guess, environmental issues. It kind of falls under that umbrella.
Yeah, well, let's get off of the bad news. Let's
Okay,
get to some good news. What have
I
you
agree.
heard on the good news side?
On the good news side, I did note over the last couple weeks we heard about some, well, one golf course opening, another one reopening after being closed much of the year. Well, actually, still in Arizona, the Estates course at the Arizona Biltmore Golf Club uh, is opening, and it's a par 71, 6,700 yards, designed by the Lehman Design Group. Golfers should recognize the name. That's eh, also Scottsdale resident, PGA Tour five-time champion Tom Lehman. I remember seeing Tom Lehman earlier this summer at the at Firestone at the Colleague Companies Championship out there. Saw him playing there up close. Had a couple of nice shots when I was watching him. Um, but yeah, anyways, the layout sits on the same footprint as the club's former Adobe course, but has a different look and feel. Um, it was a 6-month redesign project there. Uh, had recontoured fairways and added mounds throughout the course. So good news there out there in Arizona for, of course, with Lehman Design Group.
Yeah, hey, fantastic. I'm glad you switched to some good news. Also, something down in Dixie, right? You got something from an Alabama golf course?
Yes, yes, that as well. Pines Crossing Golf Course in Auburn, Alabama, is actually still coming up here. Actually, officially going to reopen on November 3rd. They'll have a ceremony for that. It's formerly known as Indian Pines, and the course's new name was announced earlier this summer, actually, in a joint presentation from Auburn Mayor Ron Anders and Opelika Mayor Gary Fuller. And they announced that in June. And it's going to be a redesigned 18-hole course. It'll be a par 72, covering just over 7,000 yards. Big increase on that one. It was originally 6,300. So another one there as well. And then also, um, jumping to a different sport, we've talked a fair amount this year about pickleball, a facility that's being billed as the world's largest indoor pickleball club is being built right now. The Padel and Pickleball Club in Olivet, Missouri. It's going to have 6 European-style Padel courts and 8 advanced Cushion Master 2 pickleball courts, pro shop and a bar. Um, a partner for the project, Mike Puertas, he said we felt like this concept would be something new, something fun. Social spot would be attractive. So they're set to open in December. So that should be interesting. And I know we heard a little bit about Padel earlier this year, Rob, in one of our trips in Orlando. I remember stopping by a booth. Unfortunately, I'm not recalling exactly the group or company we saw, but I know they were talking about how Padel is very popular in Europe, and they're hoping to have it become just as popular here in the United States.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I remember that. Remember that visit very well. And hey, flashback real quick to your Auburn story. War Eagle to my friends down in southeast, or I guess that's central eastern Alabama. Auburn Opelika is a beautiful area. Nice golf courses down there on Lake Martin. Um, and as far as the padel and pickleball, man, looking forward to hearing more about that. Indoor pickleball is growing. It's a big thing, and
Mhm.
it's a good thing because it's a noisy little sport. And
Yes.
my column in November, looking forward, is has to do with the sound of silence and the lack thereof with some of our most popular sports, whether it's pickleball. I don't know, padel. I think is a little quiet and it's confined in a glass case, so
Right.
it's a
Right.
totally different kind of sport. But pickleball, some of the shooting sports. I know you talked to a couple people at Country Club at Buffalo a
Yes.
few episodes
Correct.
back.
Hmm.
So there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of things tied in within the club community. Speaking of openings, how about a reopening in Ponte Vedra Inn, the Lagoon course, and I believe it was Bobby Weed Golf Design and McCurrick Golf Construction paired
Hmm.
to regrass all the greens, restore all the bunkers, and enlarge the practice facility there. This is the second time they've been there. And I think Donald Ross did the first 9 years and years and years ago. And then the second 9 was built. Anyways, there's been a number of redesigns or renovations. Back in 2007, Weed and McCurrick teamed to renovate it. And this time they're back again, and the course looks spectacular. That's on our website, clubandresortbusiness.com.
Excellent. Excellent. Nice to hear about all these courses redesigning and reworking things. And as I was mentioning to you too, it does seem like courses are trying to be longer, yet have fewer bunkers, as we were just talking about before we came on here. It's an interesting trend there. I guess it's a little bit of a nod to the fact that golfers, especially younger golfers, seem to hit the ball further than younger golfers of the past. And then bunker, um, you know, I would think more people playing golf would probably trying to make the course more playable, don't you think?
Yeah, yeah. And I'd mentioned as long as they're not replacing the bunkers with 4-inch rough, that does the case. Speed of play, obviously, it quickens up the pace, makes it a little easier. But I mean, a 7,500-yard golf course, and not everybody's blessed to have that kind of land. I know a course in our area, Northeast Ohio, Canterbury, has
Hmm.
hosted many professional tournaments, but they're kind of I don't say obsolete. I think some of the Champions Tour events have a possibility still going there, but the PGA Tour can't go there. The top Division One golfers can't go there anymore. The course is just too short, and it's landlocked. There's houses. It's the middle of a neighborhood. Back when you're using persimmon woods and balata golf balls or whatever, sure it was a stern test of golf, but now these subpar these what do they call it? The +6 handicaps. They go
Hmm.
out there and destroy this course. I mean, it's pitch and putt for these guys.
Right.
So the longer the better for the pros, but for guys like you and I mean,
Right.
Canterbury is every bit as hard as it ever been. Uh,
Right.
for when Nicholas and Trevino and Gary Player were playing it, I mean, they probably hit the ball as far back then with their persimmon woods as you and I do with our modern marvels that we're smacking around right now.
It does make me wonder though a little bit if it seems like two different things happening at once there. I mean, if you um for a course that might not be quite up to par as far as length for PGA or even Division One college golf. I don't know. Would you want it? Would they consider adding if they are landlocked? Perhaps they would want to consider adding bunkers to make the course a little more difficult because obviously they can't do it with length, right? I would
Yeah, yeah, they have to be
lot
tricky, have to be
not allowed,
creatively
right?
designed.
Mhm. Yeah, that could be interesting. Hey, as a weekend golfer, though, I welcome the idea of fewer bunkers for sure.
Yeah, I
You
could go
know?
without some fewer trees too. I could
Right.
use, I have a tendency hitting the ball offline, so bunkers aren't my issue.
Mhm.
Trees are my issue. So maybe I should move to Scotland and play a lot more links golf courses. Uh,
Yes, I probably would like that as well. I've seen find a lot of the trees too. I've mastered the punch shot back, just get it back out on the fairway and give myself a clear shot to the green.
yeah, you and the internet phenom club pro guy, right? The little hooded wedge knocked the ball back out. He was the best in the world at that. So, you know, let's go, right? Hey,
Yeah, there you
before
go.
we get moving too far, I want to talk about Landscapes Unlimited, taking charge down in Traphill, North Carolina. They're in charge of, yes, there's gonna be a new private club called the Contentment Golf Club, and it's a Lester George designed golf course. They're going to have lodging and accommodations on property, but no homes. So it's going to be a golf specific piece of property. I'm not familiar with Traphill, North Carolina, but it looks like it's in the mountains by the pictures I've seen. So it's probably going to be very comfortable in the summertime. Sometimes in
Mhm.
North Carolina, you take some of those coastal golf courses, get hot and muggy. The mountains are 15, 20 degrees cooler and a nice little fresh breeze. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of the Contentment Golf Club and see how that comes out in the future.
Absolutely. It kinda neat too as I'm thinking about it, where we've covered, I think, what? Southwest, the South, now the East Coast a little bit here with this. Well, it's still, I guess, more towards Southeast, but nice to see a lot of projects going on here in various spots around the country.
Yeah, coast to coast. We're
Mhm.
we're doing it all. Uh but here in the Northeast, and this brings me to our last piece here. Here in the Northeast, it's getting to be the end of the season,
It
unfortunately.
is.
End of October. We don't know how many more days. I think there's snow forecasted. It's out west right now. It's coming
Right.
this way, 75 degrees and sunny right now. So
It
it's
is.
kind of hard to even mention
Yep.
snow. But within the next week, We're going to
Yeah.
be in the highs in the 40s, lows around freezing, and snow's coming. Which brings me to a recent column that we ran in our last issue, and it's on clubandresortbusiness.com right now from Kevin Daniel LaLumiere, who's the GM at the country club in New Canaan in Connecticut. He offers some tips on retaining seasonal workforce. So as your summer and fall help are wrapping up their duties, what can you do to ensure that they come back in the spring? Retraining brand new employees every spring is tough. I mean, so it's one step forward, two steps back. If you can get these men and women that have experience and that can come back to your club in the spring, summer, fall, do it all again next year, it just builds momentum and really increases the feel around the club. I mean, the members notice it. Obviously, the staff notices it. So read Kevin Daniel LaLumiere's article on clubandresortbusiness.com. It's on the homepage right now. So it's still one of the three major articles, as well as Rivy and
Yes.
something on Riviera Club in Indianapolis, Indiana, as well as something on chefs catering to our youngest members. With more than just chicken fingers and mac and cheese. Nothing wrong
Yeah.
with chicken fingers and mac and cheese. I can make a meal out of that.
Me
But
too.
they're
Today.
really let's increase the offerings for the kids. And some of the clubs are talking about it. And there's like 4 recipes on our website, so check those out as well. Phil, I think that's all I got. What about you?
I think that's it. Other than I did want to very quickly, I was just going to mention that we are wrapping up the November issue, which will have the rankings of the top ranked pro shops in our November issue. So that'll be coming out here pretty soon, and then we will immediately jump in to start working on the listing of top ranked clubhouses. We'll round out the year with that. So looking forward to receiving submissions on those. And people, of course, right now people can go to clubandresortbusiness.com to enter submissions on clubhouses right now. But of course, watch the site as well for information on our top ranked pro shops. Those rankings will be coming out here pretty soon, both online and in the November issue.
I've seen the pro shops. There's some spectacular ones in this list. And also, boy, clubhouses, I'm really looking forward to that one. That one every year, just some stunning renovations. And, please get on that. clubandresortbusiness.com. It's on the main bar right there. Go to top ranked and submit, because I'm looking forward to seeing everything that we have across the country. See who's the best, right? That's what we're here for. Top ranked.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, Phil. Well, I'll tell you what. If there was a little ticker down there saying we have a guest, stay tuned for the guest. If not, take care, stay well, and have a great day. Hello, and here we are with Rob Goodhue, Director of Culinary Operations and Executive Chef at Hunter's Run Country Club in Boynton Beach, Florida. Chef, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks for having me. I heard your name, and I was wondering, how many times have you heard the Matchbox 20 joke?
Many times. My mother, it never gets old for her. She loves hearing people say, "Oh, Rob Thomas, your son's famous."
How's Santana doing?
yeah, he's smooth.
Yeah, he's smooth. That's good. I like that.
Yeah. So, hey, we're here on this podcast to talk about another podcast, yours. You just started the Rare Talk podcast. My first question is why, and why now?
Well, I've actually been wanting to do it for several years, and I never had a partner that could really navigate like the technical side of it. I'm a creative person, but like I'm not so great at execution when it comes to the technology. But it all started with just like talking in the offices after work, after service. We would just have these awesome like conversations with the sous chefs or cooks, and rants about service, or even just philosophy, and just to kind of like vent, and these conversations were so fun that I was like, wow, man, what if we just captured some of this in a podcast form, and so now, when I came to Hunter's Run, the team here, the communications director, Marie, she's so good at organizing this kind of thing. Like the idea really gain some legs, and then we just went for it. It was a perfect time to do it, you know.
Well, I can see an upcoming presentation at a chef to chef conference. So get prepared, right? We gotta start keeping some notes.
Yeah, that's you know, wow, I never thought about that, but you're right. I think it's going to be a great way for club chefs to have a little fun and communicate with their members about some things that, you know, they just aren't aware of. You know, the tricky part is, you know, just keeping it you know, in the PG, you know, chefs like to, when we rant, we do get colorful with the language. So that's my biggest you know, part about it is keeping it PG.
Well, hey, there's beeps for a reason, right? You can always bleep stuff out.
That's true. That's true.
Hey, so you've already got 2 in the can. Let's start with your very first episode, if we will. Restaurant picks when traveling. I think it's called Vacation Do's and Don'ts of Dining. Can you talk a little bit about that episode?
Yeah, you know, that was during the we recorded that during the summer, and you know, a lot of members ask me, you know, where do you eat when you go here? What do you do when you go to this place or that place? And I started to get the idea of like I follow a certain little set of rules as a chef. You know, I look for specific things, and so I thought it'd be a good idea to kind of get that message out to my membership. Like if you're in a touristy area, you know, don't expect, you know, like a Michelin star food at the place that has a like the word doc in its name, you know, or you know, or that has too broad of a menu. Like what are they known for? You know, like if you want what that town represents, then you have to do a little research. Don't expect the perfect burger at the place that does ribs, crab cakes, and salmon. You know, like you're in Naples, Florida. I mean, they probably don't specialize in anything specific, you know. So that's where that came about, to kind of help people navigate their vacation spots.
So I shouldn't be going to a cheesecake factory when I'm in San Antonio.
If you know what, if you just want some cheesecake, sure, and a beer, you know, it's a great idea.
Yeah, you know, my wife is a big proponent of trying local restaurants, especially when we're on vacation.
Mhm.
We don't go to the Applebee's. We don't go to Olive Garden.
Right.
You know, we have those here in Northeast Ohio. We can always, if we have a craving for, I don't know, what are they, tour of Italy, I think is what the Olive Garden's known for. We
Right.
can always do that. But I like your thoughts. Now, you had mentioned something about like ordering maybe a selection of appetizers before even looking at the main dishes to kind of see what's what in a certain restaurant.
Yeah, like you know, when I go out to eat now, it also depends on the price point, right? Like if I'm in a place and the entrees are, you know, in the upper 20s, you know, we're just creature of habit. So we always think we got for dinner, we got to go get a protein, a starch, and a vegetable. And it's like, I don't need that when I'm on vacation. I would rather get a quesadilla and a side of broccoli if I you know, if I need to eat a little healthy. But my eyes, you know, are always bigger than my stomach when I'm on vacation, and then I end up spending so much money on nonsense, and that's kind of like where I was going with that. Let's cover the table, and usually the appetizers are the more interesting items in a lot of places. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, you give me some Brussels sprouts, prepared the way the chef wants to prepare them, and I'm all for it.
Right.
You know, a steak is a steak is a steak. If you're at a steakhouse, obviously, you know, look for the steak. But I know you're talking about with the appetizers for sure.
Exactly.
So getting beyond, okay, beyond episode 1 now, I'm looking forward to watching that one. I haven't seen it or listened to it yet. Episode 2, let's talk barbecue. One of my favorite genres, I guess, of food. Let's tell me a little bit about that particular episode.
Yeah. So the funny thing about that is I know I just got a really amazing smoker from Old Hickory, and it's a rotisserie smoker, and you know, but I was just thinking with my sous chef, like we've gone through the trials and tribulations of barbecue, and it's a much more painful process than a lot of people think or they assume. You know, you really have to cook a lot of meat to dial in on specific things, and there's a reason that, you know, people are really good at ribs or really good at brisket or really good at, you know, pork, pulled pork. It's because that's the thing that they zeroed in on and they practice. And man, I have messed up some barbecue, I'll tell you that. And I have one of my best friends from my restaurant days, Shane McBride. He he got me into barbecue. He influenced me a lot. He competed in Memphis in May, and I went out there one year. And I came back and just tried to attack it, and I failed miserably several times. And I got the kind of like the wrong smoker for my club. It wasn't efficient. It was great to learn on, but not the easiest piece of equipment to work with. And that's when I really started to, I did learn though. I through, I kept at it, and now I can produce some pretty decent barbecue. And it also gives me an excuse to just have way too many grills at home, for the sake of research and development.
Love it. Love it. So what's your preference, dry versus wet?
I like I like the sauce on the side, typically, but that's not necessarily what my members enjoy. They like a glaze on most of their barbecue, but I really like to taste the smoke, and then the fattiness of the meat. I don't like too much coming in between that. And then I like the sauces on the side.
All right, that's a little control on your side, then, I suppose.
Yeah.
What as a chef, what's harder or what's more challenging to produce
With in terms
with that
of,
particular style? Is it harder to get good flavor out of a dry? I think smothering food in sauce seems to be kind of like the easier way out. Is it harder to perfect the dry?
oh yeah, because if you don't have your rub right, and it has a little too, in a country club, we don't, spice, you got to keep the spice under control. And if you get a little bit too much pepper or cayenne or something like that, well, there's nothing you can't hide from it on when it's dry, a dry rub, and that heat really magnifies. But where you have a sweet sauce on top, it can kind of mask some errors. But it's that's part of the challenge. I've also, by doing going the dry method, I've simplified my rubs big time. That way I can really control the ingredients, and I focus more on the smoke.
Well, I was talking to Ed Doyle from Real Food, Hospitality and Design, I think is the official name. And we talked about doing a podcast or a webinar one time on bourbon and barbecue. Okay. Maybe a round table at one of the chef to chef conferences. We'll have to get you on there to talk a little bit of barbecue.
Two of my favorite subjects, barbecue.
I love it. So, looking ahead, a couple of podcasts you have planned: country club dining versus public restaurants. We talked a little bit about how at country clubs, you're, the spices, right? You have to keep them down, and you're not talking about something that's, going to blow your members away with some crazy spices. What are some of the differences between country club dining and public restaurants?
Well, part of the podcast is like entertainment, but then another part is also so I can communicate some of the inner workings to the membership, because they're fascinated by how we run the club, and they come up to me all the time like, oh wow, I didn't even realize that. Or I do kitchen tours. We do kitchen tours to communicate, maybe especially if we need improvements in the kitchen, and it's really eye-opening to them to see what we do and how we do it. But that comparison I thought was very important, because especially post-COVID, there's so many challenges that restaurants have their own challenges, but country clubs, our members don't go out to eat anywhere else. So that, imagine being in a hotel and the guests just never left. Like within, if you got 2 weeks into a stay, they'd be like, well, what's next? Where's the variety on the menu? Then that becomes the challenge. And you're like, whoo, you've thrown everything but the kitchen sink at them by the time the season's over. And they're still hungry for more, because they're here all the time, every night, So I think that was important for them. If they realize that, then they can kind of appreciate the rotating specials, when we do change the menu, it's a greater task than they might assume. And they definitely have become more appreciative of that, and that helps the communication.
Do you do any kind of like I don't want to say pop-up options, but something along that line where it's not necessarily on the menu, but you had I don't know, something the farmers market had some kind of special, something like that. The seafood came in different than you expected. Kind of throw curveballs at the members every once in a while.
Absolutely. I mean, we try to do specials all the time, but this season really is going to be the season where we showcase. We have a couple of food trucks, with different concepts, called Goodies Gourmet, and we didn't get to really use it that much last season because we got the equipment kind of near the end of season. But this year we have like goodies on tap. We've got like a little, a little Vespa food truck that has the taps. We're gonna put that out, do pop-ups, especially for like Men's Day, golf, and we'll just bring the food truck out and do hot dogs and barbecue, and we're really excited to do that this season.
Well, let me know when it's scheduled because I'd like to make a visit.
Absolutely.
Another one of my favorite topics is steaks. I mentioned it earlier. So much variety. You're going to do a podcast, The Skinny on Steaks. Tell us a little bit about that. Give us a little sneak peek if you could.
Yeah, I think what we were trying to do is go over the different grades, and Wagyu is a catchphrase now, right? It's everywhere, and I think people should know that just because it says Wagyu, what does that mean exactly? And where does it derive from? And then, there's such this crazy, I mean, the Japanese system of rating beef is so intense and kind of fascinating, right? Like how they came up with their product. And then understanding the American system, what is Angus? What does it mean to have Black Angus on your menu? What does it mean to have prime and or sterling silver, perhaps, or Creekstone? All these things, what do they mean? And also my guess, we just kind of meander around the subject. I think we may have started talking, who knows where we go with the podcast sometimes. But that was basically the main, steakhouses are very popular right now. And, why are they popular? Why are they so popular right now? And not seafood restaurants. And I mean, like, not deep fried seafood restaurants, but real fish restaurants. Fish is harder to control. It's more perishable. To have a menu that has a lot of variety of seafood on it is a risk. And steak restaurants are more controllable. So I mean, they're blowing up all over Boca, and it's like, for as expensive as beef is, how are all these restaurants opening up? It's because I think that beef is more controllable in terms of perishable.
Your members, are they kind of what's your percentage as far as beef versus seafood with your members' preferences?
My members could enter competitive eating contests. They love food, and but I would say they're more seafood eaters overall. They really love seafood. And and lately I've been trying to get into less expensive cuts of steak, right? Like the culotte steak is very popular right now. Hanger, these steaks, skirt steak is crazy expensive right now. So we're trying to find also smaller cuts, so we can get like that steak experience to our members. Because if like you only have the fillet and the strip, it's only a matter of time before the sales just they go down. And you have a few steak lovers, but even steak lovers are going to only order like once a week, so I've tried to combine other cuts to get that experience so that we can get them a steak, but at a reasonable price.
I grew up on Salisbury steak, so my levels have thankfully gone up. But
yeah, I grew up on a cube steak. Ugh.
Yeah, that was tough, right?
My mom gave me a pair of scissors to cut it with at the dinner table. It was horrible.
Cube steak, mashed potatoes, and so a can of French cut green beans. I've had that meal many times.
Oh yeah, that's the best.
Brings me back. All right, Chef. Thank you for your time. Where can people find Rare Talk Podcast?
Yeah, it's on Spotify and iTunes, I believe, Apple. Yeah, there we go.
Apple iTunes. All right, fantastic.
Absolutely.
Make sure you check out Chef Rob Goodhue and the Rare Talk podcast, and thank Marie for the use of the office. I'm sure your office is a little nuts right now.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. And I think I'm going to go back to the office and put on some Matchbox 20 in tribute.
I love it. I love it. I think I'll do the same.
All right.
Take care. Stay well and have a great day, Chef.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.